Welcome to our very first Fripp virtual training user group just for APA Speaker Bureau members, and I can see many of you are coming in the room. I was talking to Jim Medlock, and he has been attending some of my virtual trainings with the Google Hangouts and Webinar Jam, and I modestly report to you he has been very impressed with my progress. The purpose of this meeting is to kick you in the bottom if you need it to take advantage of Fripp virtual training. I am not alone in this meeting. Paul will be handling your questions and the polling questions. So Paul, why don't you show them around the polls and the questions?
Hello everyone. If you look at the right-hand side of your screen, you will see the chat window that's there now. Throughout the call, we will be having polling questions. They will pop up over the chat window. You'll have 60 seconds to vote. Once you've voted, then go back over to the chat window. In the chat window, you can put in your specific and brief questions that we were to answer on the air for you. And if you have any questions, of course, for me, or if you have any issues, just put that in the chat box as well.
Well, thank you. And as all of the presenters at APA do present virtual programs, I hope that this will be helpful for you. This format was taught to us by Terry Brock because, as you know, if you want to learn something fast, you can dabble and work it out on your own. I don't have time for that. I paid Terry Brock big bucks. I said, teach us. I need you to hold my hand and you will earn your money. And Jim has been most impressed because Medlock said you have a problem with your format getting video going. So this is a Google meeting. Of course, on occasions, things do go wrong. And let's start with your first polling question, which is, do you love speaking? And all you do is you click on your answer. They're all yes and no answers. This is a warm-up question, and then you hit vote, and we will see what you say. You will have a minute to do that. We don't keep them up for too long. Well, no one's voted yet, so I will chat on while you're finding it and doing that, and then Paul will give us the answer. So the question is, do you love speaking? Now that should be very easy, yes or no. I would make the assumption that if you're part of the Speakers Bureau, you would have not looked for that opportunity if you weren't a great speaker. Or if you had aspirations to be a good speaker. Well, everyone... So, Paul, have you, good, 100%, yay, good, you love speaking. Perfect. Then we've got the second question is, are you the best speaker that you can be? Because, you know, it is our mission, and I speak on behalf of APA, with Speakers Speaker School. Dan, Teresa, the whole team has invested a lot in making the experience for everyone who presents at Congress as valuable as possible, which relates to good evaluations for the Congress speakers from the participants who are the real audience. So the next question is, are you the best speaker that you can be? Yes or no? We all love speaking, so it'd be very interesting to see what you say. I will sip my ginger tea while you're answering that. Good, 100% said no. Wonderful. Then my job will never be eliminated. In the chat window, you can write any specific question you want answered. And of course, you've all invested in Fripp virtual training. So what we're going to do is take a quick tour around the campus, and feel free in your chat box to tell us any special area or focus of attention you would like. So with the magic of technology, we are going to go to my Fripp virtual training. So, Paul, can you see that?
Absolutely, it just came up.
Perfect. Now, what you will notice with all virtual training when you are sharing the screen, it is a very good idea to have your moderator confidently tell you that what the audience is seeing is what you want them to see. This morning we were with another partner, and although we rehearsed with him, there was one time that he forgot to turn it back, or he thought he turned it back to himself and he hadn't. So as you know, when you come into Fripp virtual training, you can look around the menu. This is the main menu. So for example, as you click the top carousel, this tells you all the different areas, and if you were to click on the preview, there would be a video of yours truly telling you what's there. What we want to make sure that you understand when I talk about the handouts in your to do with your courses, all the handouts are in your file vault. We even have some ebooks, Rockstar Communicator. We have World Champions Edge book there. So there's lots of information that you can find there. That reinforces, because remember, the idea is not to just this is not watching videos, this is learning the information. Now, as you go through your courses, we know that you will have favorites. These are rather like chapters in a book. Or a section of an article. You're going to circle it or put a post-it, and this is where you would find your favorites. Those chapters you want to come back to regularly. Now let's also look at what you can find is your report card. So this can show you what you have taken, where you are. Now, may I also be aware that I am a super user, so I can see everyone who signed up for this course. I know when you've been in and what you took. So obviously this is my report card. I have been through this more times than I can imagine. And I have to tell you, I still enjoy watching it. Now, all the information that is here, you also can find down here. So there's the file vault, Tattletale, your favorites, your notes. The Tattletale, what's in here, see, this is as a graph showing the activity. So you can tell not only your activity graph-wise when you signed in, so you can see I have been in this system 19 times this month. And you also saw the courses that I've taken. So now one thing we learned from Terry Brock is that you can't keep on a PowerPoint slide or a demonstration for too long without coming back and engaging the audience. And are there any questions or comments, Paul, or any special area anyone wants to direct me to?
At this point, there are not.
Okay, fine. Well, this is not a group who's shy, Paul, so don't worry. If they have anything to say, they will tell us. So let's go back. Let's go back. Okay, there we are. Now, can you see where I left off, Paul?
Go back and share your screen.
Okay, did I not? See, this is why. Can you see? This is the third we've done today. Okay, so can you see the lesson learned, that even when you're familiar with this, perhaps it's because it is the third one and we've done this so often, we get a little cocky. You always have to remember to share your screen. That's it. Thank you, Paul. So now everyone can see it.
Yes.
Perfect. So what we are going to do, we're going to go to the training we're going to go to the training center. And I know that some of you have been a lot more active than others, and you can see we have let's pick on story. And for those of you who have not signed in,
the importance of a good story. Nobody can resist a good story well told. In this course, you will learn the techniques that will make your stories and examples memorable and repeatable. If you're ready, click the Start Training button.
As you can see, with each course, there are multiple chapters, which means for busy people who use the excuse, I don't have time, it doesn't take you very long to take one chapter of one course.
How often have you sat in an audience and been mesmerized by a speaker? Was it their compelling content? Were their stories scintillating? Do they have the ability to reach out and grab you in a way you thought, wow, the speaker is talking just to me? Be honest. How many life-changing, career-building, or awe-inspiring presentations have you heard? Have you ever been that speaker?
What I am now going to do is turn off the sound just so that you understand that while you're learning, I of course am talking to you. You have the bullet points visually and with scripting reinforcing what you are learning, because the idea is to engage you. And you can see at Lightspeed, the company that created this, did a very good job at almost gamifying it for you. You can see down here in 3 minutes and 4 seconds, that is when there is going to be an area where you have to be engaged. I ask you questions that you have to answer based on what you've heard. Not to trick you, it's not complicated. And then I can skip the video because I'm a super user. Then at the end, we ask you questions about what you've heard. Now I'm going back again because there's another feature that you might not have been aware of. So let's pick another one. And this is, let's do connecting to your audience. Really doesn't matter.
Welcome
and again,
to connecting to your audience. In this course, you will learn how to connect to any audience of any size in any circumstance. If you are ready, click the Start Training button.
All right, well, you see what I have to do. That one I need to take the test, because you can't go on if you haven't taken the test, even me as a super user. So being the creative person that I am, I'm going to pick another course. So openings, this is for Bill Dunn.
Welcome to,
okay.
You have choices, options.
This is for Bill Dunn because we always work on his opening at Speaker School.
You have choices.
Now this is, I don't know if you've been aware, but although you have handouts in here, you can also take your own notes. You can take your own notes, of which, guess what? When you want to find that, you're going to find it in My Notes. You'll also find them in your favorites. Now, this is one area you might not know about. In fact, I had to have them show me how to do it. So let's just pick any course.
To connect.
And this is, if you, oh dear, let me go back. No, what I want to do is, when you finished a course, this is it, when you finished a course, and I, of course, am starting a course, so this makes it more difficult. Come on, I don't want to hear this. Now, can you see this one here is a favorite? And how you would mark a favorite is when you finished a course, you would come back and there is a heart that is, you can make it red. So this makes it a favorite, and when you go back to your favorites, it will be in there. So for example, if you're preparing for a special presentation and you need perhaps an opening or something, and you find the perfect one, you can save it. So do we have any questions or comments in the chat box, Paul?
At this point, there are no questions. There was a comment that it was funny that you mentioned it because Bill told him that he was just watching that session today.
Yay! Probably because he knew that I am checking up on everybody. So this is the next polling question, and this, in case you didn't guess, Bill Dunn, is just for you. When at Congress Speaker School, do you wish you had prepared earlier? Yes or no? When you're at speaker school, especially if we pull you out of the audience or we put you on the spot and say, what's your opening line or what story are you going to use?
And the poll is up. The results should be coming in very shortly.
Okay, good.
Just remind everyone on the right-hand side, click yes or no, and then click vote, and we'll let you know the results in just a moment.
And as you have learned with your own virtual training, which is superb, every year I sit on the training about your PowerPoint presentation for Speaker School, and you do a superb job. I know Tom Drews has been in and helped you, and I have used APA as a model for my other clients who really do superb online training. And so what? 100% wish they had prepared earlier. Yay! Again, my job will never be done. So now this is serious, and I would like you to make a short, specific comment in the chat box. Thinking about this last Congress, what specific area did you wish you'd prepared? Was it your structure? Was it your opening? Was it your stories? Or was it preparing the handouts? I doubt if it would be that, because APA makes us send in our hands out so early. So what area? So what you have told me is you always wish that you were better prepared at speaker school. Depending on what area of help you need or area you need to focus on, I 100% promise you that you could get inspiration within the system from FrippVT. And even though you come to speaker school every year, and Sue Daring is the first who always says, I come back every year, I might have heard it before, I need to be reminded. All learning needs repetition and reinforcement. This is why you've invested in FrippVT. So do we have any comments, Paul, yet, or are they still writing?
It looks like they're still writing for the most part. There was someone on the call, Demosthenes, who says that some years you ask us to prepare specific material, and I always appreciated that.
Well, good. We'll be put on notice that next year we will challenge you to perhaps script, because openings always need attention. So be put on notice. And so now what we're going to do, let me think what else I can show you. Let's go back to another area of FrippVT. See, it really is not, it's not complicated. What you are seeing on my screen here is the super users. See, you don't have, when you sign in as a person, you don't have these quick links here. So this is where I can manage my users and see everybody's report depending on what account we're in. If a company signed up for 10, 50, or 100 licenses, whoever manages that area can check the progress. And Paul, do we have any questions?
Daniel mentioned it looks like he had a question on wanting to focus more on transitioning and changing speakers when speaking with a panel.
Okay, well, hang on, let me... Well, interesting you should say that, because that is one course I have slated to put a segment in FrippVT on. However, we need to make sure that everyone, especially my loyal fans in APA, for example, are using the system that's already prepared. Because we do have user meetings that we can focus on whatever you like. And one polling question you can get ready, Paul, is have you ever attended a FrippVT user group? So to answer that specific question, if you can't take a frog with you, Dan, to bleep perhaps or croak as a transition, the secret is, like every other speech, if you consider the Fripp speech diagram, and of course we have plenty in FrippVT on speech structure, and in your file vault you can print out the speech structure. They're there in the file vault. If you consider the opening, the circle at the top, whereas you would engage the audience, that is where the moderator sets the tone. And then, just as you introduce the premise or the central theme of your speech, then you introduce the purpose of the panel and probably introduce each person. That is a sit-down panel, and what you all need to do ahead of time, even if you can't meet people, is be very clear what area of the subject matter that they will be discussing. And if you're the moderator, then you are the one that comes up with the smooth transitions. And I recommend you always have in your back pocket great transitional lines. For a panel, it might be, "That's terrific, and to show us a personal application, Mary, can you tell us how you did that at ADP?" So you see, you are the glue. If this is just 3 speakers presenting and you're all standing up to the lectern or standing up and presenting, it's very important that you know what your closing line will be to put them on notice. And I would say the first speaker is that you might say, to continue this conversation or to help you understand how this relates to small business, which is transitioning the same subject but another area. You might be talking about tax law changes from the small business to the larger business or to the independent consultant. Because as we know, if your audience is made up of 3 different areas or segments of the audience, everyone needs to know that we know they are there. And perhaps different people are going to do that. So that is the best advice. Just as Daniel, I know you are a good student. Open and close. You know how you're going to start. You're going to know how you're going to close. In a multi-presenter, you would know how you're going to close and transition into the next person. Now, one other important aspect, which is usually overlooked in my corporate clients, it's very important that you add some heft to the caliber of the information that people are hearing. If this is not the situation where an introducer is going to introduce everyone with credentials, and even if you do, it's important that whoever passes off their conversation to the next presenter says something to build that next speaker up that was not in the introduction. Or you can say, especially if you notice people who came in late, you said, as you'll remember from the introduction, Daniel is an expert in tax law, or as meeting partner of the year, or as man or woman of the year, or as a past president, or someone who teaches international payroll, whatever is to the next person. So I hope that gives you some ideas, Daniel. Are there any other questions, comments, or areas?
Well, Demosthenes also mentioned that when they prepare for the presentation, the focus is on the material, and then when they come to speaking school, they stress about the delivery. So what are some tips to help with that stress?
Prepare in advance. And I know we always have this conversation. Somebody else writes this script. And I acknowledge that this is great to have someone prepare what you have to say. You know, and Bill, you know better than anybody else, because I always bring you up because you love being in the spotlight, and your examples being scripted by someone else are perfect to show how you can tweak and change and add your personality. The most important lesson to remember when someone writes your scripts, and you have very good writers writing your scripts. However, and you've heard this before, this is a Frippicism, you can tweet. Hashtag FrippVT. The written word is for the eye. The spoken word is for the rhythm. And if you will remember from speaker school, and you'll find it in FrippVT, is how do you present information in a way that helps the audience see when, where, who, what happened. And usually when you read a script, it's going to end with today. Today is going to be impact diluting and stepping on your punch word. All right, Paul, any other questions or comments?
At this point, no. Just wanted to remind everyone that if you are still on the poll screen, make sure to click the chat window so you can enter your questions then, and we'll be more than happy to answer those.
All right. Next question is, have you attended a FrippVT user group, whether you were live or like this one, you watched the replay? And I know at least one person listening has, because she sent me a comment that it was valuable. And what we will be having coming up in a couple of weeks, and this one I will actually extend beyond FrippVT user group meetings. Usually user meetings are just for the users and we don't make them public. Events, for example, the one I did this morning with Gerhardt from Sales 2.0, this is to promote, so certainly we're making it live, because just for you to know, while we're recording this, we are streaming live over YouTube. Now, the chances of someone finding it that's not looking for it, without it being advertised, they're not going to find it. And then when it's a closed meeting, as this is, Paul makes it, what is it, Paul? It is, what do you call it in YouTube?
Unlisted.
Unlisted. Because private, you'll never be able to find it. Because I certainly do have some YouTubes. Now, have you, well, 75% of you have not, 25% of you, yes. So of the 25% of you who did attend, and put this in the chat box, was it helpful? Just yes or no. Then for the rest of you, whether you have or not, what would the subject have to be to make you at least watch the replay? Because we are here to serve you and to maximize your investment. So while you are doing that, feel free, chat away, and let's go back to FrippVT. Just let me show you one other area. And Paul, you should be able to see me loud, clear, and
yes, I can.
Good. Now, down here is how to deliver a dynamic webinar, because part of your pre-work for the event that you will all be invited to with Tom Drews will, Italy, I can't make you, but I would recommend you watch it in advance. So then we will come back. So Paul, are there some questions and some comment? We wanted to know, was it helpful if you attended? Are there any other subjects that you would like?
On the people that have attended, Steve said yes, it prompted him to get started with FrippVT. And Demosthenes also said yes, the FrippVT user group meetings are helpful.
Oh, good, good. And I believe, let's see, Stephanie is here live with this meeting, and I believe that she has attended and hopefully found it valuable. Well, let's just see. One more polling question I'm going to ask you is, are you more excited about FrippVT? And we'll set that up. So Paul will bring that up. Are you more excited about FrippVT having a quick tour around? Because you are busy, we don't expect you to be taking half an hour every day, although some people do. And it might interest you to know a lot of the people who go through this very fast and come back again and again are from other countries. Many of them come to me because they want to buy my DVDs or MP3s or CDs, and I always say, we'll send it to you, but why don't you try this? And 98% of the time, they instead go this, which is much better because it's learn at your own speed. It's not just watching something that you can then be doing your email. You have to be engaged with this. And you have to pay attention because, as you might have found, if you answer too many of the questions wrong, then you have to watch it again. You can't just take the test again. So, Paul, are you more excited about FrippVT? Well, 100% said yes. Perfect. Then I will continue to invite you to all VT user groups. So the next one, as I say, and I'll give you the exact dates. Let me look at my calendar. It's not advertised yet. It will be on Tuesday, the 30th of September at 11 o'clock Pacific time, 2 p.m. Eastern time, 1 p.m. at the APA headquarters. So that will be with Tom, and that will actually not be a Google meeting. This will be a go-to meeting, which is his, for a large meeting, which this could be, that is his favorite mode to do it. One more question. I'm glad you're more excited. And do we have any more comments about what subject or area they would want us to focus on?
Not any specific area. Demosthenes also said that this is their busy season for speaking, so they're very interested in it, and they will keep up with it so they have the material in the back pocket for next season. Okay, good.
And be aware that we will happily put together a meeting when it's convenient for you. So with that, then, I'm glad you're more excited. I look forward to watching you. The biggest aspect of this is sign in for the first time and just watch one chapter of one course and get engaged. So with that, I don't want to take too much of your time. You can watch the replay. Are there any? We will invite any more questions or comments before we go. And Teresa and I will, of course, be in conversations, and you can certainly give her your comments. We all loved Pete Weissman, and I'm sure you'll agree that was a wonderful session. He's a quality young man with great information. In fact, we're doing an event together in San Francisco coming up in a couple of weeks. And he lives on the East Coast. I have another choice that you might want to consider, who I have partnered with, and he's spoken at Lady and the Champs. If you were at the Edge Summit, Michael Haig, who is the screenwriting consultant and story consultant for Will Smith's production company. And he talks about the 10 aspects that have to go into every story. So if that sounds appealing to you, Teresa is open, and William, they will help guide the decisions, but we all want to know what you think. And on one of my other user meetings, I interviewed one of my friends, Rob, who was a corporate executive turned into communications coach and helping executives, and he took up acting. And that was a very interesting interview. So while I am partnering with some of my friends, always know I am doing research to see if they would be appealing for APA Speakers Bureau. So with that, questions, comments?
No questions right now. It's just Teresa and Steve both say thank you.
All right, good. Well, you remember your last words linger, so may I leave you with this thought. The difference between a good speaker and a great speaker and a world-class speaker is not so much that they're interested in improving their skills. The world-class and the superb speakers are committed to. They're committed when they're busy. They are committed, and so they will watch a FrippVT short chapter while they're eating their lunch at their desk. With that, remember Fripp. Much more important, remember what Fripp stands for. Frequently reinforce ideas that are productive and profitable. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, APA team. Thanks for your many years of support.